What's up, y'all? It's just Rhonda. Welcome to my channel. It's Tuesday. You know, on Tuesdays we go over here to the King's Court. It's season one. I don't have any idea what episode. Episode 7. It's season one. It's episode 7. And yeah, the Kings are getting a little, spicy over here. We're dwindling down these connections and we're getting into what we came over here to get into, y'all. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and let's talk about these Kangs over here. The Kings are kinging. How would y'all feel like you would fare in this type of situation? I don't know. I'm very competitive. So I feel like I could leave my feelings at the door and go ahead and try to do what I can do to win my king. I feel like what they want is somebody over here approaching and being, I don't want to say aggressive, but assertive. They want somebody that's going to be assertive. You can't be hanging in the wings and waiting, to find out what's going to happen. You got to move on in here. If you're trying to move on Carlos Boozer, don't waste your time because he's locked in seemingly with his connection over here, Janae. Let's get into it. We won't start in the middle. We're going to start here at the beginning. At the elimination dinner. That's where we left it last week. And few ladies got sent home, but not Dr. Kalia. She's still here. Her connection is with Thaddeus. Whew. You need a dictionary and a calculator to deal with Thaddeus, because he's a lot over here. After the elimination dinner, Kalia wanted to pull him to the side. She wanted to have a conversation with him because she didn't like even being called over there. In her mind, he's her husband already. So she's confused. What does she say? She's pissed, humiliated, confused, and hurt. And I feel like she should add dramatic to her list because she's very dramatic. She's a dramatic lady. She speaks very eloquently, but there's also quite a bit of drama attached to her behavior. I gave her a little bit, of leeway last week. I said, maybe she wasn't trying to make this man her husband for real, for real. But it seems like that's where she's at. I'm like, girl, how many days has it been? How many days has it been for you to be feeling like a hurt and humiliated? It's not that serious. The game is a game. Play the game or, go home. My daughter made my drink tonight. She made it very fancy. This is a little kiwi strawberry and a fresh pineapple. There we go. This mic is very sensitive. Whenever I touch it, it wants to quit working on me. Anyway, I can appreciate her calling Thaddeus out because he says that he wants everybody to be, their authentic self. But then when they, are acting in their authentic, way, then he wants to penalize them for that. And then they get called to the elimination table. But I feel like Dr. Kalia, that's where the game is played. Like, you got to, elimination is coming for somebody. So honestly, it's just more time spent. When you think about like the camera time that's involved, you got to show up where you can show up. If you want to show up at the elimination table, well, you could do that too. But it worked out for her. She's humiliated and angry and upset and all of these things. But, you're still here, girl. So I can appreciate her, though, letting him know, like, how that felt. He wasn't trying to hear it. He was all tied up. Like, I'm not no body language interpreter, but he was tied up with his arms folded and his head tilted back. And I don't believe was really listening to what she had to say. I think he was sitting there irritated that she had the audacity to call Titus to the carpet for calling her to the carpet for no good reason. Honestly, he didn't have a reason for bringing her over there. But, anyway, would we have a show if we didn't do something like, and he said he wanted to see how she was going to act in an uncomfortable situation. She acted very poised and sitting there in front of Rodney and Holly, but then she got your hats back to the house and let you have it. Like, that's how you're supposed to do it. You cuss them out at the house. Titus doesn't like responses during the conversation. I hate this. I hate when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and you're expressing your feelings and they're not saying anything. And then they're like, hey, are you done? Hey, El Cid, welcome to the chat. What did you think of the show this week? I'm feeling it. I've been feeling it the whole season. We come over here and talk about our different frustrations. Like I said, my only criticism is there was too many women, because now that we've gotten rid of all of the extra stuff that they had thrown around, then, if you're going to do that, like, bring on 21 of them in at the first and second episode so we can, then they can pick the ones they want to keep. That would, save a little time. That's how I feel. Anyway, Titus. They plan to Sarah to shake things up. I told you who her ex was. I told you. I wish I could remember where I heard it from, but somebody out in these streets had already put her business out there. And I did my share to keep spreading it, because that's what I came over here to do, spread the business that's taking place over here on these reality shows. But yeah, I was irritated because Titus, Thaddeus, Titus. A conversation is a back and forth. It's like a dance. I tell you how I feel. You respond to that. I maybe can respond and defend myself. It just doesn't work. Like, you want me to sit here and say nothing. And so you can say this whole thing, which was basically nothing. To be honest, he wasn't saying nothing. He was just sitting there acting very, put off by the whole thing. He's like, oh my God, we had the elimination dinner. Now I want to go over here and see what Dr. Ariel is wearing. I've been over here playing with you and entertaining you for hours. Now I'm ready to switch it up. I feel like that's what he was feeling. His arms are all folded. He was very closed off. And then he upset because she didn't. I think there's definitely a difference between interrupting and maybe responding. It felt to me like she was responding to what he said. You got to kind of, keep the conversation or keep the energy based on, what was actually happening and not whatever distraction he was trying to throw out there. But anyway, he didn't want to have anything to do with it. I sat there for a minute and a half. He was counting seconds and then let her have to say of everything she wanted to say. And then after 45 seconds of me barely getting my sentence out, she was interrupting and butting in. Okay, I guess that's his perspective. He walked away from this conversation with zero resolution. So I don't know what Dr. Kalia is feeling like besides irritated because, nothing was resolved here. He left with, he didn't even say we'll talk about it in the morning. He said, I don't know, let me process this whole thing. And then, we could talk about it again another day. So can you imagine what that looks like? Like if you're dealing with him in a real way, if y'all have a disagreement, you're not allowed to say anything. You're not allowed to respond. You're supposed to sit there, keep your mouth shut until he says everything he needs to say. Then you respond. And if he doesn't like the direction of the conversation, he may put you off for, possibly days, weeks even. We don't know. So then how do you walk around the house, Thaddeus? Because he admits to being a lot. So how do you walk around the house with no reserve? How long is that supposed to take? He's like a toddler, a big, strong, intelligent speaking. Let me stop. Anyway, once again, Tyson is over here trying to create triangulation for his own entertainment purposes. He got homegirl Sarah sitting here and Idlewife. And Idlewife, nobody's been paying attention to her. She's been here this whole time with her charming and bubbly personality, but she ain't really had a chance to get into it with these guys like she wants to. Now, who was it? Allison and Dr. Kalia. Well, they came over here and they became very good friends together because they have so much in common. And, one is such a lovely lady and the other one is also quite lovely. That's how that was giving. Child, I was watching that live. Everybody is not for everybody. And I'm not saying these ladies aren't cool, but I wanted to scratch my eyeballs out listening to that live. But anyway, they said they're in this house with no TV, no music, no nothing. Just walking around in the house trying to engage with one another. I don't think I would have lasted. I would have told them to take me to the table because that's, you know. Anyway, so this is why the situation is so tense, according to Dr. Kalia, that this is why she knows that Tyson, not Tyson, that Thaddeus is her person because it's such a different experience than what would happen out in the real world. We all went through COVID in quarantine, stuck in the house with each other for 24 hours a day. We know what it's like. It's not that intense in terms of falling in love. It's kind of like annoying. At least we had TV and music. Y'all sitting up there with nothing but listening to not Doctor, because, you know, over here at the King's Court, if you listen to my reviews, you know, at this point, thanks to Thaddeus, I will refer to everyone as a doctor. Anyway, what's this lady's name? Allison. That's all y'all got? Y'all just only got Allison to sit over there going, hoo, 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 hoo. No, thank you. Thank you, but no, thank you. So, yeah, otherwise, I guess, isn't getting, I said all that to say she isn't getting maybe the time that she wants and also not the camera time, which is very important. So if you're spending time or talking, engaging, seems like the ladies were together. Where are these, you know, because you got to wait on availability. Now I see why Tyson had a list. Board games. That would be cool. Like, you know, Ready to Love at least was over there playing Jenga or something. That's how you get them questions answered. Good suggestion, Elson. Let's put that on the list. Board games, you know, something other than floating around in the pool. And let's don't have any more talent shows. Talent shows are only good when more than one person has a talent. Now, I'm not an opera person, but I'm not going to take away from the fact that this lady's extremely talented when it comes to that. But I want to hear that. Let's see something else. So if we're going to do a talent show, like I said before, we can do a fashion show. We can't play no music, but we can let, you know, Allison do her thing. I'm distracted. Tyson's over here, all up in Sarah's face, playing in her face, talking about he wanted to go out with Edelweiss. E. He wanted to go out with E. He said at the elimination table, he was going to make an effort to spend more time with her. And so she's like, so what's good? I'm sitting over here. You said you want to spend time. So he going to engage Sarah in this conversation. Why? Well, Sarah, would it be okay with you if I go out with her? And Sarah's like, do your thing, bro. You've been going out with everybody. You got a whole list on the refrigerator. Might as well add her to it. You know, he wants to, Otherwise, in this moment, honestly, he was giving more energy even then to Sarah than he was to you. So you don't have a connection here, and you can't make it a thing if it's not a thing. I feel like she's been here for a while because she does have a fun, bubbly personality. If you come over here and, you know, be fun with Tyson, you get to stick around for a while. So unless you're wearing a bikini, you probably won't get a whole lot of airtime. What's her name? Dr. Ariel. She know what time it is. She come with booty cheeks out and prepared for filming. He asking her permission to basically just to rile her up, I feel like. He ended up walking off talking about she's spicy, like, and left him there. I know that Sarah is not in any way intimidated by Idlewise because he knows that there is no connection over there. Otherwise, she would have been in her feelings. Rodney and Holly come through. It's time for the Kings. This is this week's, you know, entertainment. The Kings are going to meet the friends and family. So last week we met their friends or brothers or, you know, whatever, whoever, ex-wives and ex-fiancés and things. This week we're going to meet the families of, you know, these ladies. So Dr. Ariel has a twin. Her twin, she got a twin. That means that's double energy for Daddy over there to handle. Because if Dr. Ariel's a pop-off, then you probably got double your money. She may not necessarily be as much of a pop-off. Now, they the ones that said that she has this, you know, pop-off energy. Thaddeus told her the story about how she popped off at the pool. He had to drag her away. But when he tells that story, you could tell he likes that. Even though he took her over to that table, it's so strange. Like, just watching it play out. like his energy when he talks about how, she got all feisty and I had to take her away down to the other side of the pool. And, but he was enjoying it. And then he, again, I don't want to say punish, but penalizes her for acting that way. And then she's got to, get all in a little bathing suit and snuggle under him, which I don't think she had a problem with, honestly. So she did, it all worked out in the end, but she had to go to the table so he could chastise her. This is some weird energy over here. He's into it. He's into her feisty energy, and, I guess she'll figure out a way to temper it. She'll have to figure out a way to balance whatever that weird mind thing is that he does. I don't know. Now, this far in, I'm seeing a different energy with her than I am with Dr. Kalia. I don't know that he's really a match with Dr. Kalia. He does like toxic. So if you're like any kind of normal, like the lady Brianna, who actually looked really beautiful this week. Like that lady looked gorgeous. And she's tall. Ugh. I wish they would have, I wish like Thaddeus told her she would have put a little more energy into, being in something, because for some reason it was an attraction. I saw it. I felt it. It was just like he said, I'm already in the middle of all this. I don't know how you're going to fit yourself in at this point. Tyson meets Felicia's best friend. Her best friend says she's not affectionate, and we've only seen her climbing all over Tyson. She brought up the fact that she used to date rappers and athletes, and they usually don't want you all up in their face. Well, who you been dating? I don't even know why she brought that in. I feel like if you're with, a partner, whatever kind it is, they like you in their face until they don't. I don't think he's any different, Tyson. He over here got, you ain't even at the top of the list. He said Sarah is at the top of the list. So there's that. I don't know what that means. So who are we getting? Like, if you're not normally this girl, then who are we getting over here? Or are you just like, I don't know. Tyson said in the beginning that people want to be around him because of his fame. And, I'm starting to see it. I think she likes him, but the fact that she brought up that she's dated athletes and rappers makes me think she's looking for something in particular that's going to put her in the public eye. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's way better when you manage to do it on your own and not by being attached to someone who's already there. Janae's friend says she has a history with men who are open. I mean, what did she say? Who are not open and honest. She's used to having all these men that are not open and honest. And I'm like, Carlos has a reputation for not being open and honest. And I would say that's a good amount of the percentage of the male species in general. So, girl, everybody looking for a needle in a haystack. Carlos says he's past that stage now. I don't know. I can't tell. He's not jumping on, the Jennifer train right away. Like, he's attracted, he's interested, but he does like Janae, and he's careful with her feelings. Like, I feel like he's navigating in a way where he said himself, like, I don't want to do nothing that's going to, lose her, because, for whatever reason, they have a connection. So, I guess, Carlos, we'll just have to see. All you can do is move slow. Take your time. It is a process. So it's not like he cannot engage with this girl. I think he's attracted to her. She's in closer proximity to him. And the thing about Jennifer is Jennifer looks like a baby, but she's 37 years old. So she's not a baby. She's like closer. I guess you look at it like, what are he doing with this young girl? And I'm like, she's young, but there's 5 years difference in their age. I think with, and she's had her share too. Like, she's not sitting up here whining about it, but she did say like she had an abusive ex and she had one that was cheating. So she's been through some things too. I think you just, you got to get out of that space when you're moving on to the next thing. And Janae is over here like, every time I try to get in a relationship, they don't, they're not honest. They're focused on other things besides me. Her energy is draining. Whew. Her friend asked him if he knew she was a little tick tick boom, basically. And he said, Janae's like, no, he hasn't seen that yet. She seems like it. I feel like somebody who's always in that space that she's in, that insecure space. And even before Jennifer got there, she was not really talking positivity into the relationship. She's, I like him, but I don't want him going on other dates. I hate it when he's on other dates. Like, she's always been in that space. That can be draining. It's like what do they call it? An energy vampire. That's the vibe she was getting. Carlos said this makes him afraid to keep the door open for Jennifer because he's worried about Miss Popoff over here. Not Popoff, but we don't know what she does. She's fragile, this Janae girl. So I don't know, Carlos. It's a very early in the game for you to be. Obviously, you have to respect her feelings, but at the same time, she has to respect the process. She came over here on this game show that we called, Court on the Kings, Kings with the Court, over here in Atlanta with these three guys. Ida Weiss is feeling away because nobody's really getting to know her brother. So they like, hey, how you doing? And keeping it moving. Because at this point, they're actually spending time with people that they have an actual connection with. So if I like Dr. Kalia, I want to go over here and spend time with her friend. Same thing with Tyson. If I like Sarah, then this is the person who's, I want to really spend some time and get to know. So that was really like, I don't know that it was rude, but they definitely weren't making any effort to get to know her family. So she felt away. I'm sure it doesn't feel good, but the writing is on the wall. Like, it's at this point, like, there's honestly nothing that you can do besides keep being your fun self. The relationships, the connections have been established. So this conversation was so weird to me. Dr. Kalia told her friend that Fatty Daddy is her person. I feel like he's my person. How do you figure that? I just don't understand. Like, how is somebody your person that you just don't even know? I feel like a person doesn't turn into your person until y'all have put energy into the relationship. And then at some point during the relationship, then you realize, you know what, we could do this. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that happens in 3 days in a house just because, you can't go nowhere or do anything. But according to this lady, this is her person. This has been one hell of a week. I think that's a little bit cray-cray, to be honest. I mean, is it just me? Is that what you think? Like, that somebody like that you would be referring to as your person? And this isn't like a young girl. That's what teenagers do. This is a grown-ass woman, a whole pediatrician. Just goes to show you. Unless she's acting, unless she's putting on. Tyson meets Sarah's best friend, and this is where it got good, child. I don't see nothing wrong. She's from Chicago. You know who else is from Chicago? Robert Kelly. Tyson wants to know what's her type. And he's like, have you dated any celebrities? Like, was it tall, dark, and handsome? Like, what's your thing? What are you into? And her friend says that she has dated a celebrity. And they start giving each other weird looks. And Tyson peeped it. Like, it was very obvious. Like she got caught with her hand in a cookie jar. Anyway, he peeped it. He was like, I'm not talking about that. Like, right now, we're not going to do that. And he was like, all right, but before the day is over, guess what we're going to do? We're going to let Tyson know who is your celebrity friend. This is a small circle of people. Do I know him? I don't think that's like a weird question, to be honest, because he is a celebrity. It is a small circle. And that doesn't mean he's not going to move forward. Maybe not, depending on whose name you say. But Maybe not, depending on whose name you say. But I don't think, that's going to make him not want to continue unless you say something crazy like R. Kelly or Puffy. Then people are going to be like, I think Puff was able to hide it a little longer, maybe. Thaddeus meets Brianna's brother. They were cool. They were cute, Brianna and her brother. He says he does want to get married again. So we did get that answer. He does not want to have any more children. However, he does want to be a husband. Congratulations to whoever walked down the aisle in matrimony yourself to this man, because he's got a wife. They're not legally married to one another. They're probably not smashing anymore. But she's the bonus mom. And their kids have a mom. So she's around even though the kids have a mom. Tyson, yeah, you a lot, bro. Brianna says she recently lost her father, and losing a parent definitely changes your perspective on things, because you want to do all the things, you know what I'm saying, and live your life. It just makes you like, I better live my life while I'm here. I don't want to miss out on things. So her brother says she has a hard time fully trusting. I think people, as you get older, have a hard time fully trusting, especially when you've been dealing with, these ninjas that can't be trusted. Carlos meets Jennifer's friend. Her friends are very similar. I don't feel like a whole lot came out of this conversation, not about Jennifer necessarily. Her friend did want to know if he would be interested in still starting a new family, because he's got an ex-wife with 3 children. He got 3 boys with his first wife, and they're like 18 and up. Then he has another wife that they have a 5-year-old. But I mean, 5 years, that's enough time to be over the drama. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to be together, if you're going to be divorced after 5 years, I feel like that's enough time for him to have figured out how, they're going to navigate their life and raise their daughter. And then he said he's open to do it again if he falls in love. So I guess we'll see. Jennifer's young. She doesn't have any kids. So anybody that gets with her should expect that she's going to want to go down that road. That's the thing when, people are a little bit older, they have done that already. I think for men, it's not so hard to keep starting over because they don't have to do none of the work. All they have to do is shoot up the club and, pay the bills. And I don't think he's got any issues with paying finances. And she's an architect, so she's probably making her own, coin. That's a cool job. Thaddeus meets Dr. Khalil's friend, and he brings up that she was bothered by him, that he was bothered by her cutting him off. When they were talking, he was like, cut me off. And I feel like I said, that's kind of a stretch, but this was the weird part of this conversation. The way she was responding, I was like, what planet is she on? It seemed like 2 people having 2 different conversations. Like the responses that she was giving didn't necessarily match the statements that he made. He wasn't really asking any questions. I don't know that he does necessarily until it's time for elimination. He talks a lot. And Dr. Kalia said she was sorry and grateful for the opportunity to hear his feelings. The feelings that he said you didn't like him cutting you off over at the, he deserved, I feel like she was the one that deserved an apology. What are you talking about? We were in the middle of a conversation and you got up and walked away like a 6-year-old. So that's not, I don't know what she's apologizing for, but maybe that's her way of wooing him in. It worked, I suppose. I don't know. And she said, and I'm glad that you were able to hear mine. Yeah, but that never happened. He heard what you said, and he pretty much did not acknowledge any of it. And there was no resolve in that conversation. So I don't know what you're thanking him about. They didn't even have a conversation. Daddy said he gonna be himself, and he would like for the person that, that he's around, the people he's around, to be themselves too. And I'm like, do you really though? Because when people are themselves, you tell them how they should not be themselves, but in the same time, maintain being themselves. That is. I wish you would have responded like that. Like, what the are you talking about? You sound crazy. Dr. Clea said they're gonna make each other into better humans because that's what love is. And I'm like, Defuk is she talking about? Where did that even come from? What does that even mean? Like, okay, like I said, I know people like have vision boards and to manifest things. He is confusement, and so is she. I'm glad you said that because I was like, what happened? Y'all are going to make each other into great humans because that's what love is. Love is whatever you want it to be, child. And for her, it's making each other into great humans, I suppose. Sounds like somebody who's not in a relationship. She has been. No, she got a kid. He said he has clarity. So he's not confusement. Elcid, we're confusement because he has clarity. He sees her different now. I don't know what kind of different he sees her, but they understand each other's language. We the ones out here talking about what are they saying. Otherwise, now she up here crying because then nobody paying no attention to her brother, and everybody, is connected, and she's not connected to anyone. What's the lady's name? Cat. I call her Cat. Cat was like, Tyson, come help her. She's over here suffering because nobody's paying attention to her. And then he came over there and he's asking her. Tyson is sitting down, talking in his Tyson. Don't cry, don't cry. I want you to stay. Why? You wanted to stay. You wanted to stay so you could send her home properly, Tyson. Thaddeus has a sit down with Brianna. This is where it goes wrong, Brianna. So when you get that moment in the little room, ladies, that's where you get invited over to the elimination table. So when you get in that room, you better give it all you got. That is to sit down with Brianna. He wants to hear, her brother said she had trust issues. I want to hear about that. Why do you have trust issues? And she said her ex had a baby on her. So that will definitely mess with your trust. You're not going to be, she said they were to the point in the relationship where they're ready to discuss engagement and marriage and things. And she finding out he just, spent the last 9 months hiding a baby from her. That's not, something so unusual either. So yes, that will create trust issues. It's unfortunate to say, that it's like that, but that's what these ninjas be out here doing. Thaddeus asked what are the top 3 things she looks for in a relationship. She said communication, making time, and physical intimacy. And he asked her, what is physical intimacy? Holding hands? And I'm like, yeah, stupid. That's one of the things. I wish she wasn't so uncomfortable with this particular conversation. Like, these are your 3 things. So you should be prepared to explain what that is, because he went straight to wild sex because you were over here giggling, asking, not bravo, not to show you talking about your, sex on TV. Girl, that is a journey to the promised land. You just don't get to go from hand holding to wild sex. And I feel like you're acting obtuse and you know that exactly what she meant. Holding hands, conversation, making out. He said making out sounds like middle school, and I think making out sounds like the road to the promised land. That is. I feel like come on. All of those things are necessary. And then if all of that is right, then you knick-knack, paddywhack, and go on and get the dog bone. She's giggling and acting like she's not a 41-year-old woman. So that conversation, which is a very important one, because it's on the top 3 of your, of your list of what you want in a relationship. And if you don't get that right, it's going to cause some problems later on, because, there are steps to intimacy. It's not just sex. Somebody was saying that the other day. Jay from Ready to Love. He's like, I wasn't like intimate. You're talking about sex? No, that's not what we're talking about. Stop. Intimacy is sex, yes, but there's parts to it. So, girl, you better explain it to him, or he'll be somewhere doing it wrong. Tyson and Sarah they have some alone time, child, and he wants to know who her ex is. She's hiding it, and he's like, we're not moving forward anymore. Like, I swear, it'll be done if you don't tell me who it is. And she said, R. Kelly. I thought they were going to bleep it out. I guess they had to have her say it at least one time, but then they walked around like incognito, writing it on, secret pieces of paper and things. She kept laughing, and he is not finding the humor. He was like, you keep laughing, and I'm thinking you're joking, like, for real? He said he's not trying to trying to be added to the list of people who, was over there sharing intimate moments with somebody that was dating R. Kelly. She said it was 10 years ago. Girl, 10 years ago, all of the allegations about R. Kelly were very public. So what were you over there finding out about R. Kelly? I feel like if you say his name, immediately you were going to get the information. Hey, Motown investor. You asked her in a question from yesterday. Oh my God. Anyway, I feel like if you say you dated R. Kelly or you met R. Kelly, certain things were going to come up 10 years ago for sure. So you sit over there talking about, I don't know what that man was talking about or what he was into. I was young. You were young. You were 27. That's young, but that's almost 30. That's old enough to know what R. Kelly was up to, girl. So I can see why that changes his mind. I feel like he handled it horribly, though. So that documentary, Surviving R. Kelly, was 6 years ago, girl. So they was gathering evidence before, right about the time you was dating him. Please. I feel like, she was fully aware. And so Tyson is not into it. He's, I guess, there was a list. Wasn't Portia over there trapped in the closet? That was more than 10 years ago, or was it? He had to remove himself from that conversation. Like, when she said that, everything that was in him was gone. He just, he didn't have nothing else left. Tyson from the very beginning said he'll ghost you. Like, he said it out loud, the type of stuff he does. He doesn't like to have serious conversations. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you're getting right now, young lady, is exactly what he said he was going to do. You said R. Kelly. He said, not on my watch. And he got up and left you sitting there on that couch and said nothing else to you after that. You should have eliminated yourself. But, you're going to have high hopes and go ahead and get this last thing. Why? Because you brought that little red jumper thing that you thought you was killing it in. It was giving Fashion Nova. But anyway, elimination dinner. You got Sarah, Idlewice, and Brianna. I kind of wish he would have gave Brianna one more shot. But, like I said, it's too many women. He has 6 options. He got to break it on down. Break it on down. We're at episode 7, so there's probably about 3 more. So they don't have time. Loved Brianna. Wasn't she pretty? She was very nice. Anyway, say la vie. Auf Wiedersehen. Tyson, he let that lady walk around. She wasn't saying nothing to her. Carlos felt bad for her. He was like, let me go talk to this girl because because Carlos got him over here. Tyson, child, we getting to the end of the video. I'm kind of starting to get humbling and bumbling. Tyson, yes, had this girl walking around looking a fool and, not talking to her. And Carlos is a human. So he's like, let me go at least like talk to the lady, make sure she's okay. I feel like he has every right, Tyson, to feel how he feels, but you didn't have to do her like that. You could have just told her straight up, you're a grown-ass man. You're knocking on 60. I'm just saying. He's 54, but, halfway there. You're old enough to say, look, I don't know, it's just going to take me more time than we have here to process that. And although I think you're a very nice person, I don't know, if I'm going to be able, I can't really focus on that like that. Say something. Don't let the lady walk around the house like you've been cuddled up with her this whole time. It's making other people uncomfortable. After Tyson walked around he told Holly, he told the guys, man, her exes, and they're like, whoa, that sucks. And so he was like, I ain't gonna be able to at the elimination, I'm gonna need Carlos to go ahead and dump her because, I'm too much of a chicken shit to do it myself. I'll just cut Idlewild. That's easy because she's not going to fuss at me. She's going to speak in her cute little accent and smile at me and say nice things. And that's the only thing that, for me, I can be, open to. So he cut Idlewild for being a runner. Pot calling the kettle. Not how he running around that house avoiding that lady. Carlos had to cut Sarah because, Tyson is a chicken. He told her, you're not our queen, but you're a queen, girl, and you're going to find the right one. He had to say something nice because, geez. Thaddeus cut Brianna for being too cautious and moving a little bit too slow. I feel like if she would have came through with a little more of that energy, because she did. She came in hot. And Carlos was like, this is a good one. But then she fizzled out. She got some strong. You know what threw him off? That perfect match, the Dr. Kalia. That kind of threw him off. And then he was, he doesn't know what he's going to do because he likes a good old doctor that is. Next week, they have a road trip. They're down to their final 3. They got about to see if things get a little spicy. Janae still doesn't know the terms and conditions of this show, and she's over here acting like Jennifer is doing something that she's not supposed to be doing. It's getting on my nerves. Dr. Kalia and Kat have some tension between them because, Kat is still in the game. She's over here, it's something about Detroit. Ask Motown Investor. It's something about Detroit. And I know what it is because I'm from Flint. It's this appeal, you know what I'm saying, that you maybe just can't put your finger on. She's pretty. She has her own thing going on. I feel like she might be a little bit spicy. And, spicy and from Detroit, that's probably right what he needs. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to let him have it in order to not end up at the elimination table. I don't know how that's going to work out because it seems like they went at it. What did he do? Walk out. What does that mean? Nothing, because he did the same thing to Dr. Kalia. So that's where we at with it next week. I want to see what goes down at the dinner table, y'all. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you with this. Hey, y'all.